Are you tired of feeling like time slips through your fingers while your goals remain, waiting, like a forgotten project in a drawer? Don't worry, I understand. And no, you don't need more hours in the day, you need to learn how to manage them like a true Stoic. Heard of Stoic philosophy? Those people knew a thing or two about focusing on what matters and not wasting time on nonsense. Today, I bring you 10 simple, straightforward rules you could start applying right away so that your goals stop being just dreams and become reality. Don't miss the last one because it's pure gold. Let's go, because time flies and you can't afford to waste it any longer. Are you ready to take control and apply a little Stoic discipline to your life? It's time to focus, because there's no turning back. But before we start, pay attention to this story that will help you better understand the wisdom contained in this material. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Maria who lived in a bustling city. Maria had big dreams and aspirations. She wanted to build her own business and achieve success. However, she often found herself distracted and procrastinating on her goals. Social media, unnecessary meetings, and daily distractions kept her away from her objectives. One day, tired of not moving forward, Maria decided enough was enough. She felt that time was passing without achieving what she truly desired. So, seeking a solution, she went to visit a wise woman who lived on a nearby hill. This woman was known for helping many people find focus and discipline in their lives. The woman welcomed her with a calm smile and said, "Maria, what you need isn't more time, but clarity in your actions. You must learn to prioritize the essentials. Every day, choose what really brings you closer to your goals. Don't get distracted by what doesn't matter, because what is urgent isn't always the most important." Intrigued, Maria paid closer attention as the wise woman continued. Plan your time consciously, dividing your day into specific moments dedicated to your projects. Be rigorous and don't allow distractions to steal valuable minutes from you. Each break should be intentional, because lost time can't be recovered. Also, continued the woman, you need to learn to stand firm against temptations that lead you astray. Turn off your phone when you're working on something important. Distractions, even small ones, are the worst enemies of your progress. If you don't protect your focus, you'll remain stuck. Maria began to understand the importance of these words, but the woman wasn't finished. Remember that success isn't built with occasional grand gestures, but with consistency. Each day you work, even just a little, you'll be closer to what you want to achieve. Don't stop, even when results aren't immediately visible. Finally, the wise woman smiled gently and added, "Resting isn't wasted time, it's a way to regain energy to move forward. Learn to take care of yourself, because only when your body and mind are rested can you give your best." Maria nodded, feeling something deep had changed within her. Before, she had been wasting her time on activities that led nowhere, but now she understood that the most important thing was to focus and act with discipline. With this new approach, Maria returned home and began to apply what she had learned. At first, it was difficult, but soon she began to notice changes. Little by little, her focus improved, and every day she felt closer to her goals. Over time, she managed to build her business, and those around her admired her for her success. When asked how she had done it, Maria would simply smile and say, "Focus and determination are key. If you stick to your rules firmly, you'll never waste time and will always move toward your dreams." The moral of this story is that success isn't just about having big aspirations but about learning to focus our time and energy, eliminating distractions, and being consistent. With these lessons, Maria never again wasted her time. Before we start with the first lesson, if you find these videos helpful, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated with the latest news. Let's begin. 1. Clearly define your goal. Sometimes you wonder why you're not making progress on something you want so badly. It's as if every day, you find yourself back at the same starting point, but without any medal for effort. You've probably noticed this but haven't fully admitted it. Maybe you're not truly clear about what you want, or even worse, you are clear but haven't defined it with the precision of a surgeon. You're missing that philosophical push, that stoic touch we all need to focus and avoid wasting a single more minute of our lives. Have you ever heard of the SMART method? No, it's not a smart device that will do the work for you, though we wish it were. SMART is an acronym in English to help prevent you from fooling yourself with vague goals. You know, that whole "I want to get in shape" thing? It's a nice lie we tell ourselves to feel productive. However, if you take a second to breathe and be brutally honest with yourself, you might say something more like, "I want to run 5 kilometers in 30 minutes within 6 months. Do you see the difference? There's no room for excuses or distractions here. You're committing to something concrete, measurable, achievable, relevant, and with a deadline. Think of it this way, the Stoics didn't spend their days philosophizing about fate without acting. Quite the opposite, they tried to do everything with purpose. If your goal is so specific it seems designed by an architect obsessed with details, it becomes harder to put it off. There's no escape. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the time you lose is never recovered. And if your goal is clear, each day you'll know exactly what to focus on and, more importantly, what not to do. It's a bit like making a shopping list. If you're not clear on what you need, you end up filling the cart with pointless things. When you define your goal, you're creating a sort of map, not just any map, but one of those with a big treasure at the end. And here's the trick, you have to see that treasure before you start digging. Picture yourself running those 5 kilometers within the set time. Feel the air on your face, the satisfaction of achieving what you set out to do, the strength in every step. This is how the greats accomplish important things. And, of course, set a timer. Days without deadlines get lost in laziness. In the end, it all boils down to a simple truth: what you don't define doesn't exist. You can dream all you want about changing your life, but if you don't make it clear, tangible, and achievable, you'll keep going in circles like a dog chasing its tail. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Life is brief, and you can't waste it on poorly defined goals. So, before you complain again about not making progress, ask yourself, have I been clear enough about what I want? And if the answer is no, well, now you know where to start. As Seneca said, the key to success is having clear goals, not daydreaming. 2. Divide your goals into small steps. You set a goal, and after a couple of days, you're staring at the ceiling, thinking about anything except that goal. It happens to all of us, so don't worry, it doesn't mean you're incapable. What happens is that when you set a giant goal, your brain does what any sensible person would do: it panics. Imagine you want to climb a mountain. At first, you look up to the peak and think how wonderful it would be to reach the top. But when you start considering what it really takes, all those rocks, cliffs, and endless steps, you begin to doubt your abilities, right? The same thing happens with any ambitious goal in your life. The trick is not to look at the peak all the time. The key is to break that mountain down into smaller hills that you can climb more easily, and most importantly, without running out of breath right at the start. This is where Stoic philosophy lends a hand. According to the Stoics, life is a constant exercise of control over what we can manage. And what can we control? Our small steps, not the peak of the mountain. So, if you want to stop feeling overwhelmed, break down your goal into smaller parts, something you can do today, not tomorrow or next year. For example, let's say you want to learn a new language. If you think about learning 10,000 words, mastering grammar, improving your accent, and being able to hold a deep conversation, you'll probably end up giving up. But what if today you focus on learning just 10 new words? It's not much, right? But it's something. Tomorrow, you can learn 10 more, and little by little, you'll make more progress than you imagined. The same goes for any big goal. If you want to get in shape, don't focus on the body you see on Instagram, because comparing yourself will only lead to frustration. Instead, go for a walk today. Do a simple exercise routine, but do it. Tomorrow, you can do it again, and the day after, too. Over time, when you look in the mirror, you'll notice that those small, accumulated actions start to pay off. But be careful, don't obsess over long-term results. The Stoics emphasize that what's important is the process and what you can do now. Now let's talk about avoiding wasted time. We all have 24 hours in a day, right? But some people seem to juggle 1,000 tasks, while others barely manage to complete one. The difference isn't magic or superpowers, it's simple. The first group knows what to focus on, and that means saying no to a lot of things that, while urgent or attractive, don't bring them closer to their goal. So every time you get distracted by a new show on Netflix or check social media for the 10th time today, ask yourself, is this helping me climb the mountain, or is it making me lose my way? The key is to create small daily victories. If you focus on what you can control, your daily actions, you'll eventually get closer to your goal. And the best part? You'll do it without stress, without feeling overwhelmed. The Stoics understood this well. You can't control what waits for you at the end of the road, but you can decide where to place your next step. So, the next time you set yourself a big goal, don't be afraid or paralyzed. Break the task down. Do what you can today, and stop looking at the horizon as if it were an overwhelming obligation. In the end, the mountain will always be there, but you are the one who decides how and when to reach the top. As Marcus Aurelius said, a small step today may seem insignificant, but each one brings you closer to the end of the journey. 3. Establish an action plan. You wake up in the morning with a mental list of things to do, promising yourself, today, I won't waste any time. But then chaos arrives, your phone rings, emails flood in, life interrupts, and at the end of the day, you find yourself thinking, what did I actually accomplish? If this feels like a scene you're stuck replaying, maybe you need more than just good intentions. You need a plan. And not just any plan, but one with a Stoic twist. If the Stoics were experts at anything, it was knowing how to stay focused and not waste time. And if there's one thing we don't have enough of, it's time. What is an action plan? It's simple. Imagine you want to reach a place you've never been. What do? You grab a map or, in modern times, use GPS on your phone. You don't just start wandering, hoping you'll eventually get there. Similarly, to achieve your goals, you need something similar, a well-thought-out action plan. This plan is simply a set of specific steps that will take you to where you want to be. It includes deadlines, necessary resources, and a healthy dose of honesty with yourself. It's your guide to stay on track amidst distractions. The Stoics, those pragmatic philosophers, left us a couple of golden rules that are perfect for focusing on your goals. The first is simple: you only have control over what you do, not what happens around you. The second is to avoid wasting your energy on things that don't move you closer to where you really want to be. So, apply this to your daily life. Identify what truly matters and focus your efforts there. How to design your action plan without losing your mind. To avoid wasting time on trivialities, start by defining your objectives. What is it you really want? If your goal is as vague as "I want to improve at work," you'll end up going in circles, unsure of where to begin. Be specific. Do you want to improve in your job? Okay, but how? Maybe it's by gaining a new skill, delivering your tasks on time, or earning a promotion. Whatever it is, clarify it. This way, you can create clear steps to achieve it. Once you're clear on your objective, break down the path into small milestones, like building a bridge where every brick counts. This means setting specific tasks with realistic deadlines. And here's where many fail. We love setting impossible dates and then get frustrated when we can't meet them. Don't set yourself up for failure. Imagine your goal is to learn to play the guitar. If you decide that you'll play like Jimi Hendrix in a week, you'll end up hating both the guitar and yourself. But if you commit to practicing 20 minutes a day, in a month, you'll have made more progress than you'd imagine. Here's where Stoicism plays its role again. The Stoics taught us to accept what we can't control and to focus our energies on what we can. There will be days when life gets in the way, your boss needs something last minute, or an empty fridge means you have to dash out to the grocery store. But if you stick to your plan, you'll be able to find your way back to it. The key is consistency, even on tough days, because, and this is important, it's not about the quantity of time you dedicate, but the quality of that time. Creating a detailed action plan and sticking to it is like following a compass in the middle of a storm. It helps you keep your direction, avoid distractions, and reach where you truly want to be. The Stoics may not have called it an action plan, but they understood the importance of having clear rules to avoid wasting time on things that don't matter. So, now you know. If you want to focus on your goals, set up a good plan and stop wandering aimlessly. Because as a wise Stoic proverb says, time is the only thing we truly possess. So, decide wisely on how you're going to spend it. 4. Stay motivated. Motivation. Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to keep it going? You start full of energy, convinced you're going to conquer the world, or at least your little corner of it. But halfway through, that motivation seems to disappear without a trace. It's like you have a fuel tank that drains before you even notice. And, of course, you wonder what happened. Well, the same thing as always, we're human, and motivation, that sometimes treacherous friend, fluctuates. But here's the interesting part, you don't have to rely on it alone. The Stoics, those wise thinkers from ancient Greece and Rome, knew that basing your actions solely on how you feel at any given moment is a recipe for failure. Imagine you're a ship in the middle of the ocean. If you sail only in the direction the wind blows, you could end up anywhere. What you need is a fixed course, something to keep you focused even when the winds are against you. And that's where one of Stoic philosophy's most important rules comes in. Focus on what you can control, your effort, your discipline, your persistence. Motivation may come and go, but these things depend only on you. How does this translate to real life? It's one thing to talk about ships and winds, and another to face the harsh reality of Monday mornings. The key is to constantly remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Why did you wake up today with that goal in mind? Because I want to isn't enough, you need to dig deeper. Maybe you want to improve your health, change jobs, or reach a personal milestone. Whatever your reason, visualize it, the deep satisfaction of achieving it. But don't just imagine the glorious finish, picture each small step that leads you there. Visualize the work, patience, and sweat, because let's be honest, without effort, there's no reward. The Stoics also spoke about not wasting time on useless distractions. Every minute counts. It's not about being a productivity machine 24/7, but about recognizing when you're sabotaging yourself. It's easy to fall into the just 5 more minutes on social media trap, but those minutes turn into hours, and before you know it, you haven't done anything meaningful. What you could do is adopt a Stoic approach. Every time you feel yourself drifting, ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to my goal or taking me further away? It sounds simple, but it can change the way you act. And finally, here's the master trick: don't rely on motivation to act. Motivation is volatile. There will be days when you have it in spades and others when it's nowhere to be found. If you rely on it alone, you'll be at the mercy of your emotions. Instead, build habits, those routines you follow almost automatically, even when you're not feeling 100%. If you want to write a book, write a page every day, even if it's terrible. If you want to get in shape, exercise even if it's only for 10 minutes. The important thing is to keep the habit, because it's this small, consistent effort that leads to success. You don't need to be motivated all the time. What you need is a plan, a powerful reason that pushes you forward, and the commitment to act even when you don't feel like it. Don't let your life be a game of chance, driven by the wind. Take the helm, set your course, and keep going. One step at a time. As Khalil Gibran once said, success isn't about luck, it's about consistency. 5. Manage your time effectively. Have you ever stopped to think about how you manage your time, or more accurately, how it manages you? Because let's be honest, while we all have the same 24 hours in a day, some people seem to have time for everything, while others struggle to get out of bed without getting lost in a tangle of obligations and distractions. Sound familiar? Time is like money on an invisible debit card. You have it, you use it, but before you know it, there's nothing left. Here's the dilemma: time isn't something you can get back, there's no cash back for lost hours. So, why do we keep wasting it on things we won't even remember tomorrow? This is where the Stoics come in, those philosophers who, back in ancient Rome, knew a thing or two about how to live wisely. For them, wasting time was almost a crime against oneself, an offense to personal goals. Did you know one of the Stoic maxims is memento mori, or remember you're going to die? It's not meant to depress you, it's meant to make you realize that every minute counts, and each moment is an opportunity. So, what can you do to avoid sinking in the ocean of procrastination? Simple: use some Stoic-inspired tools and strategies to focus on what matters and manage your time as if your life depended on it. Spoiler: it does. First, to-do lists. It sounds simple, but making a list is more powerful than you think. And no, it's not just for the endorphin rush of crossing things off. Creating a list is like mapping out your day. You know how, when you go grocery shopping without a list, you end up buying things you don't need and forgetting the essentials? That's your life without a to-do list. You start the day doing a bit of this and a bit of that, and before you know it, you're watching cat videos on YouTube. Make your list and, most importantly, prioritize. What is the most important thing today? Start there. Don't let minor tasks drain your energy from what truly matters. Second, calendars. The Stoics emphasize the importance of discipline and routine, and using a calendar is no different. It's a way of reminding yourself that you have a commitment to yourself. Sure, being spontaneous is great, but if you don't have a plan, chaos will take over. Block time in your calendar for things that truly matter, and treat it like a doctor's appointment or an important meeting. Don't negotiate it away. Finally, productivity apps. Does your phone feel more like a distraction than a tool? Maybe it's time to change that. Use apps that help you stay focused, not ones that have endless notifications and reminders you'll ignore anyway. Productivity tools are meant to prevent time from slipping through your fingers. At the end of the day, managing your time isn't about doing more, it's about doing the right things. Yes, this means learning to say no to activities that don't move you closer to your goals. The Stoics understood this well. It's not about having more time, but about using the time you have wisely. If you don't prioritize what truly matters, others will do it for you, and trust me, you won't like the result. So, the next time you find yourself wasting time on trivial things, remember, the clock doesn't stop. What are you doing with your time? As Epictetus said, time is not wasted, it is abandoned. 6. Be flexible and adjust your plan. You know those YouTube tutorials where everything seems to go perfectly on the first try? Real life isn't like that. It's more like when you try a recipe and suddenly realize you're missing a key ingredient, so you have to improvise with whatever's in the fridge. And you know what? That's okay. Life is full of unexpected turns, and the real challenge isn't in avoiding them, but in how you respond. You've probably heard of Stoic philosophy. These thinkers understood the value of focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. This doesn't mean giving up, it means learning to adjust your sails when the wind isn't in your favor. You might have a plan that seemed flawless, but suddenly it starts to go off course. Don't worry, what's important isn't clinging to it as if it were the last cookie in the pack, but rather being flexible and adapting it to what the situation demands. Imagine you're driving on a winding road. What good does it do to complain about the curves when you can simply turn the wheel? The problem is that we've been taught to see plans as unbreakable contracts, but in reality, they're more like sketches. They're there to guide us, but they're modifiable. Sometimes, changing course is the best way to avoid wasting time. Speaking of time, what a delicate concept it is. We spend half our lives obsessing over not wasting it, yet often we're our own saboteurs. We cling to ideas that don't work out of pride or fear of appearing lost. But isn't it worse to stand still while time keeps moving? The Stoics knew this well. Wasting time often comes from not adjusting your actions when something isn't working. Instead of stubbornly staying on a path that leads you straight into a wall, why not step back and see if there's a clearer route? This is where flexibility comes in. It's not the same as giving up on your goals. It's about being smart enough to adjust them when needed. Think of a river as it flows. If it encounters a rock, it doesn't stop to mourn its bad luck. It simply flows around it and continues on. That's the attitude we should adopt. It's not about abandoning your dreams or changing plans every time you hit an obstacle. It's about learning to move with the circumstances while keeping sight of what truly matters. If something isn't working, ask yourself, why am I here? What is my goal? And most importantly, is there a better way to reach it? Maybe you only need to change a small part of the plan, or perhaps a complete redesign is in order. The important thing is that you keep moving forward. In the end, no one reaches their goals by following a perfectly straight path free of bumps. The key is to be like that river. Don't give up when you meet obstacles, adapt to them and keep flowing. So, the next time things aren't going as planned, take a deep breath, adjust your sails, and keep sailing toward your destination. Because, in the end, flexibility is the best tool for staying aligned with what you truly want. Remember, rigidity is the companion of failure, flexibility is its salvation. 7. Seek support. Sometimes, do you feel like time is slipping through your fingers? You plan a million things, but by the end of the day, you're left wondering, what did I actually accomplish? Relax, you're not alone. We've all been there, caught in the whirlwind of distractions, obligations, and daily chaos. The Stoics understood something very well. Time is the most valuable thing we have, and wasting it is a luxury we shouldn't allow ourselves. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting you become a hermit on a mountain to focus on your goals. What I'm proposing is simpler and more realistic. The secret isn't doing it all alone. Do you know why? Because sometimes, no matter how strong or independent you feel, you need support. And that's okay. Asking for help doesn't make you weaker, it makes you wiser. Do you think Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, didn't rely on friends, advisors, or family? Of course he did. So, if the Stoics did it, why shouldn't you? Think of it this way, your life is like a boat navigating the sea. You can row alone, sure, but you'll get tired faster. Now, imagine having friends, family, or colleagues rowing with you. The journey becomes lighter, quicker, and most importantly, you reach your destination with less strain. They won't row for you, of course, but they can give you that push when you run out of strength. The support of those around you is like the wind at your back. Without it, you can still move forward, but it'll cost you twice as much effort. What's interesting is that we often think asking for support equals weakness. If I ask for help, they'll think I can't do it alone. That's false. Asking for support is an act of humility, recognizing that success is rarely achieved alone. Even the best athletes have coaches, the most skilled musicians practice in orchestras, and the most influential leaders have advisors. So, who are your travel companions? The key to staying focused on your goals and not wasting time is surrounding yourself with people who propel you forward, not those who distract you. Find those friends, colleagues, or family members who not only listen to you but also challenge, inspire, and keep you on track. Surround yourself with people who, when they see you veering off course, ask the tough but necessary questions. Didn't you say you were going to work on that project? Or why haven't you signed up for that course yet? It might be annoying at the time, but in the end, those reminders are what keep you grounded. Stoicism also teaches us to accept what we can't control. So, instead of getting frustrated when things don't go as planned, remember that life is unpredictable. This is where your support network comes into play. They'll help you through those moments when everything seems to be going downhill, reminding you that no matter how many times you fall, you can always get back up and keep moving forward. If you want to progress toward your goals without wasting time, follow a basic Stoic rule: lean on those around you. It's not about delegating your responsibilities, but recognizing that with help, you can go further and faster. The path won't be easy, but with the right people by your side, it will be more manageable. Remember, even the strongest tree needs the earth to stay rooted. As Nelson Mandela once said, he who does not accept a helping hand is condemned to lose himself in his own steps. 8. Maintain a positive attitude. Notice how easy it is to fall into the trap of negativity, and the worst part is that you don't even realize when you're in it. It's as if one day you wake up and, surprise, there you are, with a gray filter over your eyes. Everything feels heavier, more complicated, and whatever little you accomplish doesn't even bring you joy. It's like being stuck in a loop of thoughts that lead nowhere. But let me tell you something, you can get out of it. And no, it's not about magic or reading motivational quotes every morning. Although, if they help you, great. It's about attitude. Yes, that word you've heard a million times, positive attitude. Some may mistake it for being naive, but it's actually one of the most powerful tools you have to avoid wasting time and focus on what truly matters. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you should go through life smiling as if you were in a self-help catalog. But I am suggesting you give yourself the luxury of changing your mindset. The Stoics, those philosophers who seem to have the patience of a saint, said it centuries ago. You can't control everything that happens, but you can choose how you react. The key is to stop focusing on what you lack, on what you haven't achieved, and start appreciating every small step you've taken. Do you know why this is important? Because success, that abstract, sought-after concept, doesn't come all at once. It's the accumulation of small advances that make it possible. But if you only focus on what's missing, you end up feeling paralyzed, as if every effort is pointless. So, the next time you feel frustrated because you haven't reached a certain goal, pause for a moment. Look back and notice what you've accomplished, no matter how small. It's a good exercise to remind yourself that you're moving forward, even if not always at the pace you'd like. Failure, that word that frightens us as if failing were the end of the world. But what if I told you that failing is actually the best thing that can happen to you? Because, think about it, if everything went well all the time, where would the learning be? Every mistake is an opportunity to readjust, to hone your skills, to know your limits and learn to overcome them. Maintaining a positive attitude isn't about ignoring failures, it's about facing them head-on and asking yourself, what can I learn from this? This is where the Stoic principle of amor fati, or love of fate, comes in. Love what happens, good or bad, as part of your journey. If you fail, perfect, it's one way that didn't work. If you succeed, great, you keep moving forward. But never let the fear of failure paralyze you. Remember that each failure is one step closer to success, even if you don't see it immediately. Keeping a positive attitude also means not giving up when things get tough. Because, let's be honest, there will always be moments when you'll want to throw in the towel. But that's when perseverance becomes your greatest ally. Stoic philosophy explains this well. Difficulties aren't obstacles, they're opportunities to strengthen your character. And if you think about it, that makes perfect sense. It's like running a marathon. Every exhausting mile, the ones that seem like they're going to break you, are actually preparing you to endure what's ahead. Instead of complaining about how hard the path is, think about how it's making you stronger. After all, what matters isn't just reaching the finish line, but who you've become along the way. A positive attitude isn't a luxury, it's a necessity if you truly want to reach your goals. It's what keeps you standing when everything seems to go against you. It's what allows you to learn from your mistakes, to value your achievements, and above all, to persevere. Because, in the end, it's not about getting there quickly, but about arriving with the satisfaction of knowing you gave it your all. As my grandfather used to say, success isn't measured by what you achieve, but by how many times you got up to keep trying. 9. Regularly evaluate and review your progress. Time slips away from us like water between our fingers, doesn't it? One day, you're full of ideas and plans, and the next, you find yourself lost, trapped among 1,000 distractions. Does this sound familiar? In a world where everything seems designed to steal our attention, staying focused on your goals and not wasting time can become a real challenge. But what if I told you that with a philosophical approach and a few simple rules, you could regain control? This is where Stoic philosophy comes into play. The Stoics made one thing clear: time is our most valuable resource, and once it's wasted, you can't get it back. That's why regular self-evaluation is such a powerful tool. In fact, how many times have you sat down to review your goals? Perhaps you set grand objectives, but if you don't stop to check your progress, it's like getting in a car without looking at the map, expecting to get somewhere. It's not going to happen. Here's a simple but effective idea: take intentional pauses. Not those pauses where you scroll through TikTok for 2 hours and then wonder where the day went, but pauses for the purpose of evaluating your progress. It's as simple as asking yourself, am I closer to my goal than I was yesterday? This almost ritualistic practice might seem boring, but it works. Evaluating where you stand and adjusting what's not going right is a technique the Stoics applied constantly. Imagine Socrates sitting in his room, reviewing how aligned his day was with his principles. Does that seem distant to you? Well, it shouldn't. The point here is that self-reflection gives you a clear, almost brutal perspective on what you're doing right and what you're not. If you're not progressing, it's not because of fate or the universe, it might be because you haven't made the right decisions or have gotten too distracted. Regular review gives you the chance to correct your course before it's too late. Of course, this isn't just for ancient philosophers. In fact, many people do it without even realizing it. Think of an elite athlete, they don't just train blindly. They have a plan and continuously evaluate it. If they're not improving, they adjust their training. You can do the same with your goals. The best part of this process is that by reviewing your progress, you get to feel that small spark of achievement, that feeling of, hey, I'm doing this right. And if something's not working, well, now you know what you need to change. Little by little, you begin to feel that control coming back into your hands. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's easy. At first, it might feel like reviewing your progress will only remind you of all the things you haven't done yet. But that's the key. If you never stop to look, you might be walking in circles without even knowing it. And worse yet, you could be wasting time without realizing it. Regular self-evaluation is your best ally to stay focused on what really matters. You don't need grand rituals or complicated techniques. You just need a moment, an intentional pause to reflect. And if you keep doing this, over time, you'll realize that not only will you be closer to your goals, but you'll have stopped wasting time. As Brian Tracy wisely said, the greatest progress is made when we dare to face our mistakes. Remember, the Stoics knew that the key to success isn't what you do occasionally, but what you continuously evaluate and adjust. So, take the time to review. 10. Don't give up. There are moments in life when you feel like everything is falling apart, when nothing goes as you expected, and you question if it's really worth continuing the fight. There you are, looking at the horizon, hoping things will align, but the wind keeps blowing against you. Just when you think it might be time to throw in the towel, I'm going to tell you something you may not want to hear, but you need to. Don't give up. Yes, I know it sounds cliché, but have you ever thought about the Stoics? These ancient philosophers, who instead of complaining when life gave them lemons, made lemonade, drank it, and laughed. For them, suffering was just part of the game, like life was a chess match where the pieces on the board were against you. Losing wasn't an option, it was just another step forward. The key was to stay focused because, in the end, the only thing you can really control is how you react to difficulties. The Stoics had a simple rule: stay in the present. Sounds easy, right? But in reality, it's the hardest part. The problem isn't so much what happens to you, but how you get tangled up in what could happen. How many times have you wasted hours imagining everything that could go wrong? That's when your mind plays tricks on you, and you end up wasting time and energy on things that haven't even happened yet. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to think that the universe is conspiring against you, that the stars aren't aligned, or that it's just not your day. But the truth is, perseverance isn't about waiting for life to be a bed of roses. It's about accepting that there will be obstacles, like climbing a mountain. There are stones, mud, wind in your face, but you keep climbing because you know the view from the top is worth it. Here's the comparison I promised. Imagine life is a soccer match and you're the striker. Sometimes you're going to take a shot at the goal, and the ball will end up in the stands. It's inevitable. But if you spend the whole game lamenting that missed shot, you'll lose the next opportunities. The key is to keep your eye on the goal because sooner or later, you'll score. That's the Stoic rule: focus on the goal, not the distractions. So, what do you do when you feel like everything is against you? First, breathe. Yes, it sounds too simple, but it's more effective than you think. A calm mind can see clearly. Second, break down the big goal into smaller ones. No one climbs a mountain in one leap, right? Take small but steady steps. And third, remember that every setback is an opportunity to sharpen your character, to learn something new. The Stoics talked a lot about this. Adversity is the real test of who you are. What hits you, strengthens you, if you choose not to be defeated. So, the next time you feel defeated, stop for a moment and reflect. Is this really the end, or just a bump in the road? Remember, as a wise Stoic once said, the key isn't what happens to you, but how you respond to it. And you have more power than you think. Don't waste time lamenting what you can't change. Focus on what's within your reach and keep moving forward. Because at the end of the day, perseverance isn't just a virtue, it's the path to success. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, no matter how many times I fall, I'll rise. I'm excited to hear about your successful experiences. I invite you to subscribe, activate notifications, and comment so that YouTube knows these videos are helpful for people like you. This motivates us to continue creating similar content in the future. I also suggest checking out the 2 videos we recommend. I sincerely appreciate your time and support. See you in our next adventure.